Are you guys excited for day 2? Let's get some W's in the chat. Awesome, awesome, awesome. What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? Did you guys, most of you guys should have seen day 1 by now. We had that recording being sent out to the emails as well because we know we had some technical difficulties yesterday. So we actually ended up putting out those recordings for everyone just to make sure you guys obviously got the value from day 1. So make sure you guys watch that as well. Okay. Now, with that being said, from day 1's information, did some of you guys apply day 1's information today? Let me know your results. Remember, I told you guys I'm going to ask you about your results. Did some of you guys apply your day 1 information into today? Let's see what everyone's saying. I know today in the accelerator for ourselves, we actually ended up catching NVIDIA, the 1 candle rule on NVIDIA. Very, very nice trade today. We'll go over that in a little bit as well. Yes, yes, yes. Awesome. Took the 1 candle rule today. Awesome. Good to see it. First candle strategy. Nice 1K day today. Nice, nice, nice. 5-minute high, up $100 using your system. Nice. Look at that. Look at how many people in the chat. 100% move on SPY puts using your system. Saw 1 candle rule on SPY. 1 candle rule. Nice, nice, nice. Look at that. See, so it's good, right? Because from yesterday, the reason we're doing this 3-day event is so from yesterday to today, you guys can see, you guys can literally see in front of you in the chat, people are already starting to make money using the system that we're talking about. They are literally already starting to make money using the system we're talking about. And so obviously today we're going to go much deeper. Okay. Yesterday we talked about strategy. Today's going to be much deeper, much, much deeper, right? So if you stay till the end of today and take notes, trust me, you will 100% learn something that you didn't know that you can apply literally tomorrow. Okay. And remember, tomorrow we're live trading in front of all of you guys. Okay. So we will be live trading in front of every single person in here. And you guys will be able to see us taking the trades in real time. Okay. Not only that, we live traded today on NVIDIA and caught that in front of a lot of people as well. Okay. So with that being said, are you guys ready for day 2? Let's get some W's in the chat. Are you guys ready for day 2? Pop and fade, first candle. Nice, nice, nice. Made $500. Nice. Your strategy is absolutely awesome. Awesome. For consistency. Okay, so are you guys ready for day 2? I'm not going to delay it anymore. We're going to get right into day 2. And I think today will be filled with a lot of value. Okay, so make sure you're staying for the whole session for today's session as well. Yesterday's session was only recorded because we wanted to make sure that everyone saw it because we knew there was technical difficulties. There's no technical difficulties today. So make sure you're staying for the full live session. Okay, let's get into it. So today's session is not just about charts. Yesterday, we went about charts. We will talk about charts today as well. But today's session, we want to not talk about charts as much and not talk about strategies as much. We will, once again, we will talk about strategies and we will show chart examples, of course. However, today, we want to go much, much deeper. Okay. Now, this is something that I've never shown on YouTube. This is something that I've never shared publicly, unless you're in either the accelerator that I have or Traders Lab. We have not shared what we're going to share today for day 2 to the public. And so we're going to go much deeper today. And we want to make sure that everyone here, and once again, even though we're going deeper, we're going to try to simplify it. Okay. So with this being said, today, what we're going to go through is what it actually takes to survive in trading. And this is very important to actually go through because a lot of traders come in and they don't even know what it truly takes to actually survive in trading. Right? So how can we actually last long enough to succeed? So how many people have seen an example like this where we can see you enter into a potential trade, right? This is an instant break and retest here, and the trade stops you out and it breaks below your key level only for the stock to move all the way back to the upside. How many of you guys, type me in the chat if you have, how many of you guys have seen this? How many of you guys have seen where the stock has broken below your key level, stopped you out, and instantly reversed? Has anyone seen this type of setup or has anyone taken this type of setup? Let's see some me. Yes, yes, this is 100% me. Okay, so a lot of people have been seeing this, right? And I think especially even when I first started, this would happen to me a lot. And so I would be like, what am I doing wrong? How can I fix this? Right. And so I went from losing like this to being consistently profitable and taking these high probability trades while having the right stop loss, having the right profit targets. And you can see here, this one, right? This is a simple 5-minute strategy, right? You mark out the 5-minute high and low, you look for the break above, the retest, continuation. Very simple. We talked about this yesterday. We're not going to go into it too much again today. Once again, we'll talk about it when we get into the examples later today, but that's the goal. I want to show you guys how we can eliminate those losing trades or those low probability trades and trade these high probability trades while also understanding where to put our stop loss, where to put our profit target, and exactly where the stock should be moving. So the reality is most people never make it because when they see losses like that, they get discouraged, right? I got discouraged many times. Right. And so the reason most people don't make it is because 90% of traders fail because they simply blow up their account. They simply blow up because have you guys, let me ask you another question. Has it ever happened where you enter a trade, you lose, even though you were following your system, you enter a good trade, you lose, and because of that, your second trade you enter in with more size. You put more money behind the second trade because you want to win on the day. And now because you lost the second trade and the first trade, you blow up your account, right? This is a common occurrence, especially in the trading community, right? And so when we see this, we want to make sure that we are not one of the statistics of the 90% that fail. We want to be the 10% that actually succeed in trading because a lot of traders blow up their account. A lot of traders, they just simply quit. They quit and they don't know what to do next, right? And I see a lot of people in the chat as well, right? Story of my life. Yes, this has happened to me at the beginning, right? So a lot of people quit. And so we want to ask our question, the reason why, right? Why is this happening to us? Why are we the people that keep consistently losing when you see people, you genuinely see people saying that they're making money, saying that they're profitable traders? It's because they never learned. Right? What it really takes to become a profitable trader. They never learned what it takes to be profitable. And that's what today is about. The truth that nobody told me when I started, that's what I want to talk about today. Okay? We're going to cover exactly and kind of rediscover what it means to actually be a profitable trader. And then we're going to go much deeper in how stocks move, how the system that I taught you yesterday will actually work in the current markets, and a much more updated guide. Okay. Now, it's important to remember the truth that I'm going to reveal today and the systems and everything, the back end of the mechanics of how this strategy works. This took me years to discover. Okay. This genuinely took me years to discover. So, and on top of that, actually, I lost thousands of dollars. I mean, most people do at the end of the day, right? Most people end up losing thousands of dollars while they're trying to discover a profitable system. So let's begin. When I first started trading, I thought it was easy. How many of you guys, when you first started trading, you thought it was easy? How many of you guys, when you first started trading, you thought it was easy? Let's see in the chat. How many of you guys, when you first started trading, thought that trading was going to be easy? Why? You thought trading was going to be easy because you hear one thing, which is buy low, sell high, right? You see it online. You see that people portray trading as easy, right? And the reality is buying low and selling high seems very simple. And for anyone that's tried to do it, it is, like that's what you want to do, especially if you're investing. You want to buy low and sell high, right? But I couldn't have been more wrong. I genuinely could have not been more wrong because the reality is trading will test you and it will test you to the maximum of your ability, right? It will test you in your emotions. It will test you with your patience. It will test your discipline. How many of you guys would say you're disciplined traders, by the way, right? Would you guys say you're disciplined traders? Would you say that you already have the discipline of what it takes to truly see success in trading? And on top of that, it tests your risk limits and your ability to survive, right? Your general ability to survive, because in trading, it puts you in a very, very dark place. When you're sitting there in front of the screens alone, right, on the charts, trying to make it work, it's literally just testing your ability to make, how long can you go without talking to other people? How long can you go just sitting there looking at the charts, trying to learn, knowing that you're not seeing results now, but you have to believe in yourself for the next 2-3 years to see those results, right? It takes a lot of, personal perseverance to go through that. And so, therefore, trading will test you in all of these things. And I've been through it, right? I've been through sleepless nights. Literally, there's been nights where I did not sleep and I back tested all night. I know there's some people in here that have probably been back testing even today or yesterday, right? They probably saw the system that I taught you guys yesterday, and they went to go back test it. And that's good. Okay. I've had many, many blown accounts. I've blown my account multiple times, especially in the beginning, right? I went through frustration. I was sitting there thinking about, is this even possible? Is this worth it? Because at the time I was a university student. So a lot of my friends were getting full-time jobs. They were trying to, make an actual career. And I'm here looking at candlesticks on a chart, right? I'm literally sitting in my room looking at candlesticks and trying to make money. And I'm like, am I wasting my time? Am I doing something that's not going to work? Am I doing something that's putting me at a disadvantage from other people, right? And so over time, I ended up realizing, okay, I need to stop this, right? And the frustration really turned into anger, because from being frustrated, am I doing this right? It just became, am I just losing money? I'm just losing money consistently, right? And that made me more angry every single time, especially when I saw, most of my friends getting full-time jobs, and I'm just sitting here once again looking at charts. So there's not a single chance that I tell you that I didn't think that I was going to quit, right? I 100% thought at one point, I'm like, you know what? Like, I should just quit. I should just, cut my losses here, and I should go and focus in on the corporate world. Because for myself, if you guys don't know, I do have a degree. I went to university to be a financial analyst. So I do have, my bachelor's in finance. However, I was like, okay, it's either that I quit trading now and I just go into investment banking or whatever I wanted to do, or I continue trading. So what were my options there? If I quit trading, or if you quit trading, right? Your options are, you avoid the pain easily, right? You easily avoid the pain of consistently sitting there and losing. You avoid the risk, right? Because if you quit trading, you're not going to lose money. You're not going to lose time. There is nothing that you're losing, right? So you're actually technically saving your mental health almost, in a way, right? You avoid the stress, but the main thing is you avoid all of those things, right? The negatives. But the main thing that kept me going is I also avoid the reward. I saw other people doing it, right? I saw other people seeing success. And so for me, if I quit today, right? Or if you quit today, you see that it is possible, but you need to put in the work, right? And you see that if you quit, you'll never become profitable, right? You'll never see the reward that trading can get you. Okay. So with that being said, if I did quit, right, I would never be here today. Where am I today? Today, I'm at a point where $120,000 a month is average for me at this point, right? And I don't say that to flex on you guys. I don't say that in a negative connotation. I say this for strictly motivation, where genuinely $120,000 a month is very, very average, or honestly, not even that great of a month anymore for me. Okay. And I'm very, very blessed to be in the position that I'm in today. But at the same time, this took 7 years of work to be here. Okay. 7 years of work to be here. So the hard truth is, and once again, like I said, I don't want to sugarcoat trading for you. I just showed you the results that I've personally been able to achieve, but that doesn't mean that trading is easy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Trading is not a get-rich-quick scheme. If you go watch any of my YouTube videos, go watch any single one of my YouTube videos. I always talk about how trading is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not going to make you rich overnight. It's not one lucky trade. A lot of people, including myself, when I first started, I was looking for one trade. I was literally looking for, if I can just make one trade and make, $5 million, $1 million, take this cryptocurrency or this penny stock and make money, I'll be rich. That's not how trading works. Okay. It takes making mistakes. You have to consistently fail to see the results at the end of the day. Okay. And it takes countless hours of learning. You will have to learn multiple things when you're looking to trade. And the goal of today's class is obviously to simplify that. Okay. So my job today is to fast track this journey for you, right? So everything I just talked about, my job today is to fast track that for you. So you don't have to go through as many emotions as I did, right? You don't have to make the same mistakes that I did. You can learn from the mistakes that I made or another profitable trader made using the exact system that I taught yesterday, and you'll see it work in real time. Okay. So how does that sound? Are you guys excited? Does that sound good to you? Type W in the chat if that sounds good to you. Type W in the chat if that sounds good to you. And also, let's like up the stream. Let's like up the stream. Does that sound good? And let's like up the stream. Let's see. www. Love to see it. Super excited. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Look at this chat moving. Nice. Love to see the engagement in the chat as well. Awesome. Okay, so with this being said, today you're about to discover something very, very powerful. Okay, we're going to unreveal essentially the back end of our trading. You've learned the system yesterday. You've learned the setups on my YouTube as well, right? Like if you've watched my YouTube videos before, if you were here live yesterday, you've learned the setups, you've learned the systems. But today we're going to go much deeper. We're going to talk about why do some break and retest setups fail? Why do some win? And we're going to talk about what makes the backbone of our strategy. Okay. Now it's very, very important for today. You have to take notes, right? And I'm just saying this because I want you to learn. I don't gain anything from this. I genuinely don't gain anything if you take notes or if you don't take notes. But if I'm here and I'm teaching you, I want to make sure you're getting the most value possible and you can actually apply this in your trading. Okay. So make sure you're taking notes because you're going to learn something very powerful today. Now, here's the thing. I've taught you the system and the strategy multiple times. So for me, when I was coming up with this presentation and I was coming up with, the 100K Trader Challenge over the 3 days, I was like, what's the best way to help you learn my proven 100K system? Okay, because here's the thing. When I started trading, right, I followed a mentor, but for me, it was like, okay, I'm seeing my mentor. He's making a lot of money, but it's not possible for me because he's way smarter than me. Right? He's, at the time, he was way older than me, right? Some of you guys are older than me in here. Some of you guys are younger than me. But the main thing with me is it just felt really unachievable when I was looking at him, right? So I thought, okay, what's the best way to teach you guys my proven system, but using something that's verifiable? So I was like, why not bring someone who started from nothing? Okay. So today I'm going to bring someone that started from absolutely nothing. Started from the scratch of trading and built a 7-figure trading portfolio using the exact systems that I taught, right? Using the exact systems that I taught, they built a 7-figure trading portfolio, and now they will go into a little bit more depth about the trading strategy, okay? And I want to make this very, very clear. Right? This is someone that I know has verifiable results, and they will be going over this. Okay. So does that sound good to you? Does that sound good to you? Not only will you learn from me, you will learn from a verifiable trader that has gone through the trials and errors that you guys are most likely going through. And this way you'll be able to see his perspective and my perspective. You'll be able to see both of our perspectives together. I see some people already typing in the name in the chat. Are you guys ready? Type yes in the chat. Type yes in the chat if you guys are ready. Let's see this. Yes, yes, yes. www. Yes, yes, yes. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So now I'm going to introduce to you J-Dub Trades. A lot of you guys may know him already. He's going to come on and he's going to take it from here. He's going to go through the backbone of the system. He's going to teach you exactly how the break and retest works, how he went from nothing to 7 figures trading, from nothing to 7 figures trading using the simple system that I taught you. He was literally one of you guys in the chat, and now he's here today. Okay. So I hope you guys are ready for this. I'm going to introduce J-Dub Trades. He's going to take over the spotlight, and then I'll be back as well. Okay. I'm still here in the background, but I just want to make sure that you guys get the most value from him. And that I'm still here in the background. I'm literally just going to sit right to the left right here. Okay. Awesome. You guys ready? All right. J-Dub, if you want to come on.
Awesome. Yo, what's up, everyone? What's up? Mic check. You guys hear me? Let's get some W's in the chat going. Let's get this stream to 2,000 likes. Drop a like in the chat. Let's spam some W's here. Grab some water here as well. Are you guys ready? I'm super excited. Very grateful for this opportunity. The value that's going to be provided here today. I'm going to show you guys exactly how I basically went from $0 to becoming a profitable trader and making $100,000. So basically, this whole challenge was surrounded by the 100K Trader Challenge. And I thought, what makes a 100K trader, right? There's a lot of things that go into making 100K to making $100,000 in the markets. And basically, I thought the presentation I'm about to show you is the exact step-by-step formula that took me from going from phase one. I'll talk about the journey of a profitable trader, from basically going from phase one, from going to phase two, and then finally becoming a profitable trader in the markets. So what I'm about to share with you in today's presentation is that every profitable trader has been through exactly what I'm about to share with you, right? It doesn't matter if you trade smart money concepts or ICT, break and retest, supply and demand, support and resistance. No matter what strategy you trade, right? Every single trader has been through what I'm about to teach you guys in today's video. So before we get started, some of you guys might know who I am in the Discord, right? Some of you guys don't. I'm just going to do a brief introduction, so stick with me. I know it's going to be a little bit boring, but who am I? I'm Jack, JDub Trades. I started trading in 2019. So as you can see here, I was actually trading. I was a student at the time. I was basically living in my grandma's basement, and I was trying to make trading all work at the exact same time. And guess what? I lost trading for years, right? I was trading in the markets. I was trading penny stocks at the time. I was trying to find an edge in the markets, and I lost for years in the markets until I started using the system that Tony taught, which all of you guys know, which is the break and retest. I'm sure most of you guys know what the break and retest is. Like, type in the chat if you guys take the break and retest, right? Type yes if you guys trade the break and retest. I'm sure majority of you guys trade the break and retest, and that's a system and strategy that we use. Nice. I see some yeses in the chat. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So exactly, this is the system that Tony taught me, and I refined the system to make it my own. So basically, what we're about to teach you guys in today's video is usable in any single asset class, right? Forex, futures, options, right? Stocks, right? The break and retest can be used in any single market. But what we're going to teach you guys today is how to take that break and retest that we teach you guys and turn it into your own system and your own edge. So right here, now you can see, so I started trading 6 years ago, and 6 years later, I've made over $1 million. Right here is my P&L graph from year to date. Currently, I'm up over $500,000 on just this one account alone. And this is basically throughout years of experience, right? It wasn't just done it just wasn't done overnight, right? This was done through years of trials and tribulations, right? Losing the markets, right? Finding an edge, finding a mentor, being able to show me what is possible through trading. And as you can see right here, just to show you guys some proof, just so you guys know, right, I have some live logins here. Of course, Interactive Brokers. You guys already know what this is, right? Live regulated brokers, right? I also have broker statements here as well. I know this is some boring stuff, but just bear with me before I get through this. As you can see, some broker statements. This was from July of earlier this year. And then we also have other broker statements. This was from all the way back from March of 2022. Okay, let's get into the juicy part now, right? I'll be 100% honest, right? I can lay out the full foundation and blueprint on how to become a successful trader, but that does not guarantee you that you will get the same results I had. However, these results are achievable, right? As I mentioned, I am a living testament and testimonial that this is possible, right? I see traders in the chat that I see that are typing, that are in the Discord, that are seeing results today. But that wasn't done through overnight success, right? That was done through years of experience, right? Taking trades in the markets, figuring what's wrong, refining your system, finding an edge in the markets. And that's exactly what I'm about to share with you in today's webinar. So, what we're going to talk about today is the trader's journey. And I'm going to share with you my personal journey and how it went from, right, phase one. We're going to break it down into 3 phases, and how I was able to get out of, right, essentially the phase 2, which is the hardest phase, and into profitability. So how many of you guys have seen this chart or have seen maybe a graph similar to this about the trader's journey, right? How many of you guys have seen this? If you've seen this, right, type in the chat. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, some of you guys have seen this. Yes. Good, good, good. All right. So basically what the trader's journey is broken up into 3 phases. So phase number 1 is the easiest and basically fastest phase that most traders go through. And it's basically that initial win slash euphoria phase. I know everyone's been in this phase before. Basically, it hooks you into trading and you think you know it all, right? Basically, it just gets you into trading, right? This can either be through friends and family, social media, whatnot. Then we have phase number 2, which is the hardest phase. This is the phase that most of you guys are in right now. And this is basically the hardest phase to get out of. This could take from 3 to 6 months. This could take years to get out of phase 2, right? It all depends on your journey. And I want to talk about how every single trader is on their own path. There's no timeline to this, right? I'm saying 3 to 6 months or 1 to 2 years. Some people might be in this for a little bit longer. Who knows? But we're going to lay out the foundation on how to get out of phase 2 and into phase 3, which is going to be the profitable, right? You get back above the profitability line, right? You have optimism slash maturity and you see success in the markets. I see some of you guys talk about phase 2. Yeah, most of you guys and most of the traders we see are stuck in phase 2, which is the hardest phase to get out of. Once you're able to get out of phase 2 and you can get into phase 3, that's when trading is going to be a lot easier for you, especially once you have more experience in the markets. So, phase 1. Why did you get into the markets? I'm curious. Guys, type in the chat, why did you guys get into the markets? Was it because of money? Was it because of cars? Maybe it was because of friends and family. Maybe it's the freedom, or maybe you want to travel. What was the core reasoning on why you wanted to get into the markets? Phase 2, break even, family, money, freedom, money, time, freedom. Okay. So that makes a lot of sense. So most of you guys get into the markets because of money, right? It could be either because of money. Maybe you want to, right, replace, maybe get some more money either through a side come, or maybe potentially replace your full-time job. Maybe your goal is to, right, whatever it could be, right? Money's a core reasoning, right? Maybe it might be the cars, right? You see the fancy cars, maybe you want your dream car, whatever this may be, or maybe you want your dream life, right? You want to go on vacation, you want to travel, you want to experience new things. These are all reasons why, right, you get into trading, because of what it can offer. But at least for me, right, I did not want any of this. Right? For me, I didn't want the money. I didn't want the fancy cars, right? I wanted what money can provide, but I didn't want to trade just solely based off of the money. I wanted to trade because of, as I mentioned, what the money can do for me. And what it did, and why the reason I got into the markets, was because I wanted to give my parents their dream life that they deserve, right? When I grew up, I'm going to give a little bit of backstory here. I don't want to make it too long, but my parents, of course, you guys know, immigrant parents, moved to Canada, right? They basically worked their whole lives just to support me and my 3 siblings. Just a quick little recap as well is that we used to run a restaurant, and then unfortunately, right, some things happen. Very unfortunate. I don't want to go into too many details, but we ended up getting into some bad deals. They end up losing all their money and so forth and so on. So basically what I wanted to do was I wanted to provide for my parents because they provided for me. I was going to get a little bit emotional there, but okay, let's get into the next step. So for you, this may be your parents, right, kids, spouse, but that wasn't my reason to keep pushing, right? So for example, first, when I first started trading, right? So I was hooked into trading. So I first came into trading in 2019, right? I was kind of dabbling into penny stocks. I wasn't really fully fledged into trading, right? I wasn't taking trading too seriously. But when I started taking trading seriously, I actually made $60,000 my first month trading, believe it or not, right? $60,000. It might seem crazy, but during that time, when I first came into the markets was really hot, and I made $60,000 my first month trading. And guess what I started saying? I started having these crazy expectations, right? I was saying things like trading is so easy, because when you first start trading, you know nothing better, right? You say trading is easy. I started making these calculations. This is the funniest thing. I know a lot of you guys do this, but whenever you make money, trading, right? Whatever money you make, right? You start calculating it with these like random calculations and you start saying things like this, right? I made $60,000. So basically, what I did was I was like, okay, if I made $60,000 in a month, I'm going to multiply that by 12. I'm going to make basically $1 million a year, right? 720,000 in US is like $1 million Canadian, right? The Canadian dollar sucks. But basically, I was saying I was going to become a millionaire, right? I was completely delusional, right? Other things I was saying, I'm going to quit my job. Right. So at that time, I was working Amazon. I was also in school as well. I was like, I don't need a job. If I'm making money trading, there's no reason for me to be at this job. And then I also said things like, I can easily grow my account by 1% a day, right? You have that. I know you guys also have that calculator that, the compound calculator that you guys always put in. So whenever you grow your account, you're always like, okay, I'm going to grow it by 1% compounded. And by like day 30 or something, you're like, oh, I'm going to make $1 million, or by day 60. It's like some dumb calculation, but this is something I feel like all traders go through, and it's so funny to look back on it. Maybe you're actually in this stage right now. Like, I'm saying this as someone that's been through this stage. Maybe you're in stage 1, right? Most traders are in stage 2, but maybe right now you're strictly stuck in stage 1 and you're feeling this right here. Maybe you have your euphoric phase where you're hooked into the markets, and right now maybe you're saying trading is easy. Right? Trading can be easy, but right, is that easy based off of your system and strategy being simplicity? Or are you keeping it simple? Or you're just straight up saying it's easy and you might be just delusional. But these are the crazy expectations that you're gonna have when you come into trading. Next, right, once you get into that phase 1, right, you start taking a step back. Maybe you start being less, delusional, I say on quotations, or you start having more realistic expectations. So you start having these mid expectations. Right, trading can't be that hard, right? I just maybe you made some money and now you're starting to lose some, but you're like, okay, I just made some money and it was super easy, right? All I did was just click a button. I clicked the button and it went up and I made some money. So trading can't be that hard, right? Right? Maybe if I learn some more information, maybe if I learn some strategies, right? Maybe find an edge in the markets, right? I can become fairly profitable fairly quick. Or maybe I'll learn, or maybe once I learn more, I'll be right back on track. Because most of the times when you're a beginner trader, right, you don't have knowledge, right? There's a knowledge barrier where it's okay. Maybe once I learn the knowledge, right, maybe you're thinking knowledge equates to profitability. And it's like, if I learn more, I'll just make more money. But we'll talk about that in a second because, right, the more you learn, does not equate to the more money you make, because there's so many different strategies, indicators, concepts out there that we always talk about, right? Simplicity equals profitability. If you're learning so many strategies, so many systems, all that's going to do is create confusion. And one of the best quotes that Tony always mentions is that simplicity equals profitability. And we're going to touch up on that here in a second. Other things that we mentioned: if you don't know what I'm doing and I'm making money, what happens if I do know what I'm doing and I'm making money? So it's basically understanding, right? If I had no clue what I was doing and I was clicking buttons and I was making money, what happens if I do know what if I do know what I'm doing, and then I'm going to start making a lot more money? And then guess what? Reality hits, right? You start having these realistic expectations. You start thinking now, okay, trading is much harder than I originally thought. Right? When you get into that euphoric phase, it actually doesn't last too long. Sometimes it lasts maybe a few weeks, a month. Sometimes it might last a little bit longer than that. But everyone goes through this, right? They start now having realistic expectations, right? Trading is harder and much harder than I originally thought it was out to be. Now you're going to start saying things like, it's going to take a lot more than following other people's signals to get lucky. I know a lot of you guys are going through this right now, but basically a lot of you guys in this chat potentially could just be signal bots, right? Where you just go around following other people, right? Can it work? It can work in a hot market, but ultimately you want to rely on yourself for that conviction and confidence, because you don't want to rely on someone else for your main income, or you want to make money, right? That's never going to be consistently, you're never going to be able to consistently make money month over month in the long term. And then finally, you start having these realistic expectations saying, I'm not going to quit my job and retire this year, right? Most people think they're going to quit their job and retire within 1 year of trading, especially if they make a lot of money. But realistically, right, you're not going to quit your job. And we always recommend having, right, something else to go along with trading, so you're not always focused about making money specifically. Okay, before we head on to phase 2, right? That was the easy phase. That was the phase that most people have experienced. Now we're going to go on to the main phase, which is going to be phase 2, and this is the bulk of it, right? This is where most of you guys are at currently, and this is the hardest phase to get out of. And my job is to share you with my system, strategy, right? Everything that you need to know in order to get out of phase 2 and get you back into phase 3, which is going to be crossing that profitability line and seeing success in the markets. All right, let's do a little check here. How are you guys feeling so far? Let me grab some water, right? Let me see. How are you guys feeling so far? Do you guys understand phase 1, right? Do you guys understand that? I'm sure most of you guys have been through that, but now let's head on to phase 2. All right, let me grab some water here and then we'll get started. Great, yes, awesome, sweet. Okay. Phase 2. The biggest cause of trading failure in the markets is a lack of a profitable and repeatable system, right? Majority of the traders don't have a profitable and repeatable system that they can use on a day-to-day basis, right? They're hopping from strategy to strategy using maybe indicators, buy and sell indicators. Maybe they're relying on other people, right? They just don't have a profitable and repeatable system that they can use on a day-to-day basis. But guess what, right? We went over the foundation of our bread and butter system, which is the break and retest. We already went over this on day number 1, which is the break and retest system that we use. I know a lot of you guys in the chat use this as well, right? So we have the system and foundation already set. We also already have the setups that we look for, right? We talked about the first candle break and retest. We talked about the previous day high break and retest. We talked about the pre-market high, right? We talked about the 1 candle. We talked about the key level break and retest. So we already have the setup and system and foundation laid out for you guys, right? So you guys already have a proven system, but what's going to be the difference? Because ultimately we trade all the same system, the same setups, but what's the difference between, right, from someone being profitable and someone not being profitable? Because we can all trade the same strategies, right? I'm sure some of you guys all take the same setups, right? It could be through managing your positions, right? What's going on, your thought process, logic. There's so many different things that go into the setup and strategy in itself. So what is the core reasoning why, right? Some traders, ultimately, we can be trading both the same strategy. And by the way, right, every strategy is profitable, right? We just use the break and retest because it's very simple. We're able to have multiple setups within the break and retest. And in my personal opinion, right, the break and retest is one of the best strategies and systems that you can use, right? And here's the truth. Having a profitable strategy isn't enough. If I were to just give you that profitable strategy and system, right, we already laid it out to you in day number 1, right? Can we just go out? Can we just tell you guys to now just go out there and execute the strategy, right? And day number 1, right? You're probably not going to see success. Some of you guys might see success. We traded the 5-minute opening range, or I think it was the previous day high break and retest on NVIDIA today. But you have to understand, right, what I'm about to tell you, right? Having a profitable strategy and system isn't enough, right? What you need is having conviction and confidence in yourself. So you can have the profitable strategy and repeatable system that we laid out. But if you do not have, right, if you have a lack of confidence and conviction in yourself, you're not going to be profitable. If you have lack of experience, right, holding losers, cutting winners too quick, you're not going to be profitable. So what we want to talk about, or what I want to talk about today, is having that confidence and conviction in yourself through this strategy and system, and having experience. Of course, experience comes with time, but we can talk about this. So as you can see here, right, having a profitable and repeatable system is not enough, right? I see so many people always type either through YouTube videos or through the Discord, right? They always ask, right, if they're trading, let's say, for example, the 5-minute opening range, or maybe the previous day high break and retest, you'll see sometimes, right, we'll have super solid A+ setups, but then sometimes if you look for the same setup, let's say on a name that we're not supposed to trade, maybe you might lose and you might be very confused, right? The reason why is because of what I'm about to lay out here. So this is a slide that we talked about earlier, right? It's basically asking and saying, right, the market makers are against me. This is one common excuse that a lot of beginners traders have, right? They enter here, right? They don't have a proper stop loss placement, and then you can see price ends up going in their favor, right? A common excuse that they always have, or a common excuse a lot of beginners traders have, is they say the market makers are against me. And let me tell you, that is just not the case. The reason why you didn't end up winning is because you just had a poorly planned trade, right? You had the wrong basically stop loss, right? You had the wrong point of invalidation, right? Maybe it was a wrong setup, right? This is just an example here, but you just didn't understand what the strategy and system, and you didn't understand things that go along with the strategy and system in order for you to understand the trade, right? Another one is they have the strategy and system, right? You can see we have a super solid setup here, 5-minute range break and retest. We're breaking above it with displacement here. We're coming back down. You can see we have some buyers stepping in. What are we going to do? Maybe you're a little bit hesitant, right? You're not that confident in the break and retest. Why? Because you don't understand, right? The conviction, you don't understand the confluences behind it. And then what happens? Bam. You didn't trust yourself, right? You had that textbook A+ setup we always talk about, but you didn't trust yourself. Maybe it was, right? There's can be plenty of different things why you didn't trust yourself, but ultimately you didn't trust yourself. You didn't have confidence in yourself. And you can see this beautiful textbook trade would end up pushing very nicely towards the upside, but you end up missing out because you're too hesitant and you end up missing the trade. Another one, right? Let me enter into this A+ trade here with a clear plan, right? Let's say this is, for example, your previous day highs, right? This is super solid setup, right? Not every single trade is going to be a winner, right? Not everyone can have 100% win rate, right? You can have a super high win rate in strong markets, but ultimately, right, every trade is based off of probabilities. You never know if you're going to win on a trade to trade basis. And then what happens, right? It hits your stop loss, but it keeps reversing, right? You don't follow your plan. And then what ultimately happens, right? You just blew your account because you didn't follow your plan. You didn't follow your stop loss. You didn't follow risk management. And then you can see trending. And all it takes in trading is 1 to 2 bad trades, right? You can give up a lot of your gains. And that's what I want to talk about. That phase 2 is because you can have a string of winning trades, winning months. But ultimately, if you don't follow your plan and system, it only takes you a few bad trades and you can blow your whole account. So what you have to understand is that every trader has made these mistakes, right? You are not alone, right? Every trader has been through what you're doing, has been through what you've been through, right? I've been through that. I've made that mistake so many times, right? I've not followed my rules. I've not followed my plan. And guess what? I paid the price because I didn't understand what I was looking for. I didn't follow my plan. I didn't follow my rules, and I paid the price. So let's play a game, right? Before we get into the next part, we're gonna dive deep into exactly what my bread and butter is here. So get ready. We're gonna play a game here. I'm gonna grab